And now let us lend our ears and open our hearts to interesting presentations on how to survive a graduate school. So our first session is about being academically successful, and Dr. Jennifer Dyer is here to present for us. She's an associate professor of gender studies. Prior to this, she was assistant professor in communication studies. Her work concentrates on theories of modern art and culture, philosophical aesthetics, feminist art history, theories of representation, cultural semiotics, material cultural studies, and trans and queer theories of culture and identity. She is also director of the Master of Philosophy Humanities program and the Interdisciplinary PhD program. Please join me to welcome her.
Hello. There we go. And look, that's me. So these are my credentials, so I know what I'm talking about, right? So what I'm going to talk about today is how to be academically successful. I was thinking, how can I summarize this right up front? Right? One of them is like, don't fail. Right? That would help. But I really think most of the points I have to say today are about three things, which is talking, right? Talk to people, talk to your friends, talk to your peers, talk to your profs, talk to anybody, talk to counselors, talk to your doctors. There's gonna be lots of things going on, so talk to people. Listen to people, even if they're a jerk, listen to them, right? You might have difficulties with your supervisor. Listen to your supervisor because they're there, because they know stuff, right? And they want to work with you and learn with you, okay? So listen to people in your classes, and what was the other one? Plan. The thing I'm always forgetting about, plan everything. So everything I have to say today is about planning, for the most part. Communication and planning. So plan your schedules, plan your budgets, right? Money is a huge issue. Plan things like having fun, right? Plan exercise, plan food, right? Scurvy is real. So you've got to plan stuff, right? So there's all my credentials. So these are the four main issues. I have taken this presentation, by the way. I want to give due diligence to Dr. Leonard Lai from engineering, who gave me permission to use his presentation and change it in little bits, right? So this is definitely his part here. So what I'm going to talk about today is academic issues. The four main things. So academic issues, non-academic issues, and this is where things like going for walks and having fun come in. The importance of a good supervisor-student relationship, and this can be tricky, but if you talk and listen and plan, then it doesn't have to be so tricky, right? And then the final one is essential skills for learning well at the graduate level. And partly what happens there is that things are slightly different, right? You're gonna have to read differently. You're gonna have to read a lot more than normal, than what you're used to, and you're gonna have to take in that information, right? What you're reading in a different way. So read faster or more efficiently or better. Take different forms of notes. All right, so things like that. Let's skip ahead here. So, don't fail. Academic success is all about not failing, but it does happen. People fail. There's all sorts of reasons why you would fail. One of the big ones is not knowing what constitutes a fail in a course, right? So it's really important to know at this point that in grad school, any course you take, even if you're taking, say, I don't know, two graduate courses this term and one undergraduate course to give you some sort of background in something that you don't have. You have to get 65%. I am correct, right? You have to get 65% in these courses, all right? So if you're doing an undergraduate course, this is particularly important to know. Maybe everybody else in your class is an undergrad and they get 51 and they pass. You have to get 65%, all right? Or more. Hopefully more in these things. The other thing is funding. Funding is tied in with this. So if you are receiving fellowship funding, you have to maintain a 75% average, right? If you don't maintain a 75% average, then you don't get funding, basically, right? So don't fail. Do well, right? Try to succeed there. So part of the point about this is that you need to be aware of the regulations, all right? So this is a big one here. One way to not fail a course that's a big one, I think, is to make sure you have the appropriate background for your courses. So you've all come in here with a certain amount of specialization, a certain amount of knowledge in various things. You're going to be exposed to more, right? You might find that you don't have the background that you need for a particular course you're taking. One thing that, I don't know, people always look in horror when I say this, but if you find a course in the next couple of weeks is too difficult, drop it. Right? Drop the course. That's okay. Drop it and take it later. The other thing you can do in grad school, I mean, I don't know, I had tutors in grad school, is get a tutor. If there's something that you're really having problems with, but you want to learn it, or you need to learn it, or both, right? Find somebody to help you. Another thing to do is to put together study groups, right? I'm a huge fan of study groups, right? So put together study groups of your peers. You can bring in profs. Who does this that I know? The philosophy department has a weekly reading group, a study group. It's at a pub, so that's exciting. So you've got lots of people involved. So there's various ways you can put together reading groups and study groups, note-taking groups, right? Like some sort of exchange thing with your peers in a class. These are all ways that you can find success, right? Not to fail the courses. What's the other one? And one more point, which was that your program of study, right? There are ways you can, there's a bit of flexibility usually in most programs that I know of. With programs, am I wrong about this? Programs of study. So that if there is a course that you are having particular problems with, talk to people. You can find ways to work around this, right? Either to get a lot more help than you would normally, or, change the course to something else. I think I've completely lost my, there we go. Okay, another point here is make sure you're taking the correct number of courses and the correct type of courses. And these you will find in the calendar, right? So read the calendar. All this information is online. You can find it very easily. Programs differ. There are different requirements, so double check that the information that you have is in fact the correct information, all right? About what you need to do in your program, and that's something that's going to match your background, right? So bring in your background here. A really important thing, I get these emails all the time with both the MPhil Humanities program that I'm running and with the Interdisciplinary PhD, is pace yourself. The emails I get is, I want to take all my courses in the first term. Don't do that, all right? So pace yourself. This involves making a plan. Right? Read the calendar, find out what you need to know, what you need to do, what courses you need to take, when these things should happen, and plan something, all right? So pace yourself. You can be ambitious without being overzealous, all right? So it's very important to make that plan. All right. This is a little laughter break from Leonard. I don't know if I agree with this at all. But anyway, we'll skip that one. Stuck with Bill Gates. Okie dokie. Regulations. As Dr. Dyer says, ignorance is no excuse here. So you do have to read the regulations, read the calendar for regulations and policies. Know when the deadlines are to drop a course. Even if you think, I'm not going to drop a course, know when the deadlines are to drop a course, just in case. Know when the deadlines are to add a course. You do have that option, right? You might be able to add something. Know which courses you need. Know how many you can fail. It's going to happen. Maybe not. Hopefully this will not happen. But it's important for you to know if you do fail something, what are the processes to appeal this? Do you have any options in your program? Some programs do, right? Have specific things about this. So read the calendar to know these things. Know when the semester begins. Tomorrow, right? Know when it ends. Know when your exams are. That's important. It's going to help you to say book air travel. I already have 3 emails this morning about when are our exams. So a program, let's say like my humanities program, our exam schedule does not follow the one precisely that you'll find in the Mun diary. So you have to get in contact with people and find out when the exams are, right? What the schedule is going to look like there. Deadlines. It's important to keep these things in mind then, because once you miss a deadline, you have often very little recourse, right? So if you find that you are struggling with a particular course and you're thinking of dropping it, but you miss that deadline, you're kind of stuck, right? You're going to have to find another way to deal with that course. So keep on top of the deadlines. That said, know the appeal process. That too is in the calendar. The calendar is so useful. It's a little bit boring, but it's very useful to go through these. So know the appeal process. This, of course, goes back to the GSU. Know what reasons are legitimate if you need to get out of a sticky situation, right? There's all sorts of reasoning that you're given. So know which ones are legitimate, which ones are not. How to write this letter. What does an appeal letter look like? Who can help you, right? So go through all this stuff. Academic misconduct, very serious topic, right? This covers all sorts of different things. Most often, in my experience, it'd be something like cheating and plagiarism, right? But there's all sorts of other things. Again, this is in the calendar. Read the calendar. You have to know what this is, right? So know your rights and know what academic misconduct is. What constitutes doing something wrongly that's going to get you kicked out of the program, right? So read the calendar to know about these things. It's all online, all the regulations that you need to know. If you're unsure, talk to your professor, talk to your supervisor, talk to the graduate officer. There's lots of people you can talk to. Talk to Andrew, right? I usually send all my requests to Andrew. So talk to people to find out these things if you are unclear about what it is, right, that is needed here. If you have some sort of hint from the first essay, oh, this is not acceptable, find out why, what it is. I gotta move on. Finances, the financial issues. Again, my biggest suggestion here, this can really get in the way of your academic success, right? If you can't manage your money. So learn to manage your money. How are you gonna do that? Plan, right? Make a budget. We gotta have a plan here. St. John's can be a surprisingly expensive city to live in, right? I don't know about you, but my heat bill is ridiculous compared to, say, Ontario, where I'm from. So St. John's can be expensive. Think about things and make sure that your budget matches reality, right? So you have things like rent, heat, food, books, taxes on books, right? This stuff all adds up. Taxes of any kind might be new to you, right? So keep those things in mind. Financial difficulties can cause an awful lot of unnecessary stress. So plan these things. If you can't plan it by yourself, or if you need some help, lots of people, I need help, right? Lots of people need help with these things. There are lots of places you can go to help with this, right? So who offers these things? I know SGS offers something. The GSU, I believe, has some sort of, yeah, I think so. I'm sure there is. And there's also counseling centers, and this is right around the university. So avail yourself of these things. Keep in mind that you want to, in this planning of budgets, don't spend beyond your means, right? So one of the things I remember in past talks here is credit cards, right? Credit cards are a huge downfall for lots of people because you're going to be offered tons of them. Especially if you have fellowship funding, because you can show, oh, look, I got so much money, right? Plan these things. Make sure you can spend your money wisely, all right? So don't spend your beyond your means. If you are having difficulties, talk to people, right? Talk to your supervisor, talk to the grad officers, talk to the GSU, talk to SGS. There are people you can talk to for things like part-time jobs, right? There are lots of them. You can work up to 24 hours a week. It is a week, 24? 2? 20? 24? All right.
20 off campus,
24 on campus, right? Okay, there we go. You can. The point is, you can get a part-time job, all right? You can get a part-time job, and you can find some work, right? How are you going to find some work? Talk to people. It's the easiest way, as far as I can tell. What else? Bursaries was another thing. There are emergency bursaries you can get. You can apply for, maybe not get, but if you talk to people, you will be able to find these around the university. Check with your supervisors, check with the department, right? They will have ideas to help you so that you're not going to be stuck. They can give you suggestions. Often your supervisors might be able to find opportunities for you that you would never otherwise hear about. All right? So money is important. Physical and mental health. This is a big one. I think it's a bigger one as time goes on. It seems to be bigger and bigger. One of the most important things here is to find ways to manage your issues, whatever they are. Manage your anxiety, manage your health, manage your physical well-being. This is super important because you will find yourself thinking better, studying better, researching better if you can manage these things, right? So when I am a lazy butt, I don't think so well, right? So if I actually make time for myself, let's say, to do things that seem super obvious, like go for a walk, get some exercise, hang out with my friends, even though I think I must finish this thing, I must finish whatever my paper is, I'm gonna finish it faster if I take a break. Right? If I go for a walk, a break does not involve vodka, right? If I take a break, I will think better, I will do better work. So manage these things. There are lots of people you can go to if you do have some any sort of issues, mental, physical, any kinds of distress like that. We have counselors on campus, third floor of the student center, yes. So use them, avail yourself of these people. They're amazing. Visit your doctor, talk to your supervisor, talk to your grad officers. I'm gonna have everybody going to all the grad officers all the time. But anyway, eat well. I mentioned this earlier, right? Eat well. It's very important for you to do that. Like I said, I actually knew somebody when I was in grad school who got scurvy. So don't eat Kraft dinner all the time, right? So eat well, watch your habits. This is tied in with your finances again. This is important. This is all about how to be successful as a grad student, all right? So food is important. Exercise is important. You do have, I believe, still, the works is part of the package here, yeah? Access to the works. Go to the works, right? I go to the works and I see mostly my professors. My professor colleagues, we're all there, but there's not so many students. Go there, they have amazing facilities, right? There's lots of things you can avail yourself of there. Exercise is excellent because you make friends, right? Because you're gonna end up talking to people. You're gonna find different groups you didn't think you would find, right? So it's super important there. Something else a lot of people love about Newfoundland is hiking. There are lots of hiking clubs. There are amazing trails with amazing views, and that is super good, I think, I find for me, just like to clear my mind. It's really great in that way. So give yourself time to think, right? Physically and mentally, give yourself time to think about things, to process things. I am a big fan of taking time, right? Time can solve so many issues for me. So not that I want to universalize all my experiences here, but giving yourself time is very important, right? So give yourself time to meet people, to talk to people, to just get out, to not look at the books for a little while. And you will, I think that helps more than I can quantify for you. Personal issues, self-discipline. That's basically it. So one of the things here seems obvious, is don't spend all day doing something that is not studying. Don't procrastinate, right? So don't spend all day playing video games or binge watching like whatever on Netflix. Online gambling, whatever it is that you do that procrastinates. I don't know, I've got a couple of students who like bake like crazy, and I love it because they bring everything to class, but they're not getting any work done, right? So find a way, plan to give yourself a schedule, a way that's going to help you to not let things go, right? To allow you to focus when you need to focus. One of the things that I know that in gender studies, the department's giving a talk in a couple weeks on just knowing yourself, knowing what your habits are, knowing what your body does, right? Some people are better thinkers in the morning. Some people are better thinkers in the middle of the night to go back to bed again. Find what it is that works for you, okay? And follow that schedule. Make a schedule and follow the schedule and work into that schedule, having fun. It's really, really important. So don't let things go if you find yourself lacking focus or if you're unmotivated. There are lots of people you can talk to, right? So we've talked about supervisors, academic people on one side, counselors and doctors on the other side. There are various ways you can get unmotivated, or you can find yourself procrastinating. Right? Keep this in mind. Make a plan, make a schedule, and stick to that kind of thing. Your supervisor. This is always a sticky one. Your supervisors, they might be funding you, They are there to support your studies in some sort of way, right? In many disciplines, your supervisor is there to fund you, and you'll be working very closely. Others, maybe not so much, but they're still going to be advising you on which courses to take, what topics you might want to focus on, when your deadlines are. You have to have a good relationship. Well, you have to. I think you have to have a good relationship with your supervisor, right? Some people might say, but I really think this is going to help you a lot. How do you have a good relationship with your supervisor? Talk to them and listen to them. And listening is just as important as talking, okay? So when they have something to say that you do not want to hear, listen to it anyway, okay? You need to know the stuff that they are there to help you learn, all right? So communicate. Some supervisors are more friendly than others. That is a fact, okay? So find ways to work with the less friendly supervisor if you have one. If you really can't function with the supervisor that you have, if something is getting in the way, the first step should be to address this, to talk about this with your supervisor, right? If that's not working, go to the department, go to your graduate officer, talk to your peers. Maybe they have a tip. Maybe they say, well, if you do this thing or talk about X, that will open some doors. Who knows, right? So you have to talk to people to open that one up. Keep in mind that your supervisor also has to work with you, all right? So don't be a jerk, all right? The supervisor has lots of students. To have a good relationship, you both have to be involved in this relationship, all right? So you're working together, you're learning from one another, you're learning from this person. 9 times out of 10, you're going to need to know what they have to say, even if you don't like the way they say it, perhaps, right? So keep those lines of communication open. Yeah, and this is all true. Moving. There we go. All right. Supervisors. The supervisors need their graduate students, all right? So this is something that I think is important for you to know. You need your supervisor. That should be self-evident. If not now, then it will be very, very soon. But supervisors need their grad students. They need their grad students for funding opportunities, right? So that they can get funding for their research and they can pass that funding along to you, right? They need their grad students for promotion, right? So this is a two-way street. You need each other. Both of you have a lot at stake in not making this relationship work. So listen to your supervisor, communicate with them, make sure they communicate clearly with you. This is up to you to make this happen. I think we've talked about this one here, right? We have a lot of a lot at stake here. This supervisor relation is going to come up a lot. Some issues, I think, with graduate work. Graduate work can be difficult. I think 9 times out of 10, it is very difficult. So even if you are working in a rigidly structured program, your research is going to be new to you in some way. It might be new to many others as well, right? So you're working in unfamiliar terrain in lots of instances. You're working towards your own goals. You're setting your own timetable. This can be daunting work. The way you achieve those goals is largely up to you, so you gotta take in all the advice you can. Students can often find themselves in these instances overwhelmed, exhausted, over-evaluated. You are constantly being assessed, right? And alone. None of this is necessary, right? There are lots of ways to fix this. So if you find yourself in these circumstances, this is where good planning comes in. Maybe you did plan, and your plan isn't working. Make a new one, right? It's not, written in stone. Make a new plan. Find different ways of communicating if the ones you have aren't working, all right? Some people are telephone people. Some people are definitely not. Find ways that work for you and the people around you. This is where, so good planning, finding ways to communicate with your supervisor, with your profs, with your peers, with your friends. This is all very important, all right, if you begin feeling in these ways. Another tip that I find works most of the time is writing everything down, okay? Write down all sorts of things. Write down the deadlines. Write down your plans. Don't keep it in your head like, yeah, I'm going to do this. Write it down. You go to a lecture, write stuff down. You have an idea in the middle of the night, write it down. Write things down. Get a little book. Write things down, make short-term goals, make long-term goals, and find friends, all right? That can solve, I think, a lot of these overwhelming, exhausting issues. Right. Strong motivation and focus. Really, be organized. I think summarizes this one, right? And keep in mind that these plans that I'm encouraging you to make in every area of your life can change. They can be fluid. they can change. They're revisable. They're fallible. That's all right. But if they're there, it will help you a lot more. All right. Skills for success. There we go. We have countdown from 6. Skills for success. Reading efficiently, I think, is number 1. But it's number 6 here. I really think it's important. So learning how to read efficiently. There are workshops to help you. I do find in so many instances in both the Humanities and the Interdisciplinary program that I'm working in that students get stuck with this piles and piles of readings, right? Articles and books and reports and all sorts of things, right? So find a way to read these things efficiently. Again, this takes a bit of planning. Which things are most important? Which things are most interesting for you? All this stuff comes into play. If you can't find a way to do this on your own, there are workshops. There are lots of workshops. I think I got a list at the end of some places to go for these. Workshops that can help you learn how to speed read or read effectively or read for your discipline even, right? So workshops do this. There are often colloquia series in your departments, right? Your graduate officer is, I don't know, usually the graduate officer is helping to organize in departments, in disciplines, particular ways to keep a handle on these on this intense amount of reading that you'll have to be doing. So if you have trouble getting through these things, there are courses that can help you to learn to read effectively. All right, time management. I've talked about this, I think, all the way through, but I'm going to say it again. So time management, learn how to stop procrastinating. Use some self-discipline, pace yourself if you don't have any self-discipline. Give yourself a schedule and follow the schedule. There are lots of different techniques out there. You know what your procrastination pitfalls are, right? You, generally in these terms, know yourself better than anybody else does. And maybe your mother. Right? So know what your procrastination pitfalls are. Know what sort of calendar you use the best. If you're going to make a schedule, which one are you going to use? A little handy thing? Are you going to use something in your phone? Are you going to use like the big wall? Right? So find ways to keep you on track. One of the big ones that a lot of my master's level students are using is a passion planner, which looks super cool. I don't know. Right? Try these different things, different ways to get things done efficiently and effectively. All right? That's what you're here for. Number 4, learn how to learn anew. You're going to learn in a different way. Some people here might be out of school for a long time. Some people might be, changing disciplines in a certain way, right? So learn how to take notes in the discipline, in the department that you're in. Learn how to learn differently at the level that you're at. How to read effectively while taking notes. There are so many workshops offered by so many people. Counseling Center, departmental things, SGS, right? All tons of things. Next one, money management. I can't say this enough, right? Manage your money. If you don't, money issues can get in the way, and it becomes very exhausting to deal with that, all right? People have to drop out because they can't figure out their finances. You don't want this to happen to you. So keep a budget and stick to it, all right? Stick to the budget. Stress and mental health issues. Don't put off getting help. All right, there are lots of places you can get help, right? So first of all, I think it's important to know that there are no mind readers at this university. They're just not there. So you have to tell people. You might think it's obvious, right? I can't say it out loud, but I really need help in something, or I'm suffering in this way. People, we can't read that stuff, all right? So you have to tell people in some fashion, right? Find a way to make that known, to help you to get the help that you will need. Grad school is stressful. So ask for help, don't put it off. Seek out the services that you need. The services to help you are free, right? So there's nothing to stop you. And number 1, learn how to do stuff. Learn how to apply for a job. Learn how to find opportunities outside of school. Even if school is where you want to be for the rest of your life, right? School is not where I wanted to be for the rest of my life, and here I am, loving it, right? But part of the reason for that is because there were opportunities outside of school that I availed myself of, okay? So internships, That's a big deal. Finding out different places to give talks, to learn how to listen, that's a big one, right? Learning how to present a paper is important. Learning how to ask questions in the audience is just as important, okay? So find these things. There are colloquia series, there are talks, there are mini conferences, all sorts of things going on, right? Get involved in this stuff. And it's not just all at MUN, right? There's lots of different places this stuff is going on. So get involved in that kind of thing. And that will help you. Learn how to use these little clicky things. That's another thing. Why am I stuck? There we go. All right. I was just chatting about this actually earlier. Soft skills. There are all sorts of skills that you have now that you are going to develop, all right, throughout your grad studies that you can't even predict. All right, so keep them in mind. How are you gonna maintain these? How are you gonna develop them? Talk to people. Get out there. Get involved. And this is the final one. Where to find help. I think these things are important. So your supervisor, your graduate officer, these are important first lines people to go to if there are issues. After that, I always go to Andrew. Sorry, Andrew, but you're up here. Andrew Kim and the SGS. There's also so many opportunities through the EDGE program, which I can never remember what it means. The Enhanced Development of Graduate Experience, right? So there are so many opportunities there from all, I can't even get into it. Look it up, it's so great. Workshops that are one-off things, workshops that go on all term, right? That you'll learn various other skills. So that's important. We've heard from the GSU, from the ISA, yeah. What else? Student services, keep in mind that is in the UC, right? So the counselor is on the 3rd floor. That's very important. Go there, all right? And the last but not least, which I think is super important for so many people in almost all the disciplines, is the Writing Center, okay? Everybody can go to the Writing Center. You can get jobs at the Writing Center, but you can also bring your work to the Writing Center, all right? So, and there's, anybody can go there. I send everybody to the Writing Center to learn about things like prepositions, how to make an argument, where to put the argument, how to close your sentence, all sorts of things, okay? Go to the Writing Center. It helps. It helps everybody, all right? So that is on the 2nd floor of the Science Building. I'm gonna stop it there. Any big burning questions? I got like 2 minutes. Well, I think you know where to find me now, so. Yeah.